There. I'm Cody, pronouns em, ers, or zem, zers, or really any neo-pronouns that aren't ze, her, hers. I am a white, transmasculine, femme, non-binary, temporarily mostly able-bodied, neurodivergent, obsessive-compulsive, chronically ill, culturally Jewish, Unitarian Universalist, non-monogamous, demi-low romantic, gray demi-bisexual, survivor of acute and complex trauma, millennial, and cat parent in mental health recovery.
Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly do appreciate your continued support on my channel, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. So I don't know if you guys caught any of that. And I'm not here to make fun of this person because I truly do think that there is just a whole lot of mental health issues going on here, and I don't wish them any harm. And I truly hope that they are in mental health recovery. But I do find it interesting how these are the people that complain about being misgendered and not having their authentic identity used in public, or people forgetting to use the pronouns that they prefer, yet this is what they're piling on top of us and expecting us to keep it straight. And I just want to tell this person that you can be a boy or a girl or whatever it is that you are, because I can't entirely tell right now, and still be all of the other things that you just listed here. People are being completely crippled by this ideology because all of the time and energy that this person put into coming up with all of these pronouns and listing out all of these identity labels that for some reason they seem to think are the most valuable things about them, that time and energy could have been put into something far more productive and far more fulfilling. But unfortunately, this is not the craziest thing that I have seen lately. Chief Psychologist of California Children's Hospital claims kids can identify as Gender Minotaurs as she celebrates revolution by youth who know more than we do. Dr. Diane Ehrensaft is the Director of Mental Health and Chief Psychologist at the UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital Gender Development Center. Her research focuses on the effects of puberty blockers and hormones on children. First reported by Fox News, Ehrensaft has made claims that children can identify as gender hybrids, which include gender minotaur. The Minotaur in Greek mythology was a creature which had the body of a man but the head of a bull. In a list of terms published by Ehrensaft in a paper titled The Gender Affirmative Model, she refers to different ways in which children have described themselves. One of these included gender minotaur, which is described as being a descriptor for a child who sees themselves as one gender on top and another on their bottom half. Other claims made by the psychologist include what she describes as a gender Prius. This label is said to have been explained to her by a child who looked like a boy at the front but had a long braid tied in their hair with a pink bow. According to the paper, the child said, "You see, I'm a Prius, a boy in the front, a girl in the back, a hybrid." Other terms include a gender smoothie, which is described as a variation of being gender fluid. One teenager described it to Ehrensaft as, "You take everything about gender, throw it in a blender, press the button, and you've got me, a gender smoothie." Another term shared by Ehrensaft is Gender Tesla, which she describes as a transgender state some children reach after being gender hybrid. Ehrensaft had previously told a 2018 talk held at the San Francisco Public Library, "I totally agree we are in the midst of a gender revolution and the children are leading it. It's a wonderful thing to see, and it's also humbling to know children know more than we do about this topic of being gender expansive." You know, I have to say, if I ever took my child to a doctor or a psychologist or anybody in the medical or psychological field of any kind and asked them to evaluate my child and give me their expert opinion, and they looked at me and said, "I don't know, your kid knows more than I do," I would be leaving so incredibly fast, and I would hope that that person would lose their license. Children do not know more than we do. That is why we have laws in place and we have boundaries in place and we have a general understanding across society that their innocence and their lack of maturity needs to be protected because they are incapable of understanding long-term decisions. They are incapable a lot of times of differentiating between reality and imaginary. So if you're bringing your child to a psychologist that says that the child should lead the way, this very same little person that probably still believes in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and says that whatever terms that they come up with with are now medically accurate and to be used as guidance for the permanent decisions that we make about their identity and about their body and about their psychology, that's just proving that the expert is actually more insane than the patient. And unfortunately, what has more than likely happened is somebody planted this idea in this child's head, because just like you can convince them that there's a fat guy that comes down the chimney and put presents under your tree once a year, and he does that for all of the children in the world, you can convince them that they can be whatever they want. And if you omit the long-term consequences, or even if you do explain the long-term consequences to them, they don't have the mental capacity to understand what permanency means. So I guess my question to anybody that believes in this stuff would be, what's your limit? Where is your line in the sand? Or do you even have a line where you're willing to say, okay, we are going too far? Because realistically, if you have been pulled into this at any level whatsoever, because experts were saying that all they were doing was allowing children to be their true selves, and the adults that allowed this to happen believed that they were just putting their child on this path that demonstrated that they were more tolerant and more open-minded and more progressive and more inclusive. But that, again, was probably also when they believed that the only two choices were going to be whether to be a boy or a girl. But as many of us have been saying from the beginning, that was never the end point. That was never the end goal. In fact, there really is no end. Gender ideology is based on the idea that gender is a social construct, and that identity in general is just a social construct, and that you truly can be whatever you want to be. And queer theory is based on the idea that any limits on sexuality are social constructs, including age, family relationships, species, etc. And they are just getting started with normalizing sexual conversations between adults and kids, secret names that are only shared between children and the adults who are sexualizing them behind their parents' backs, secret closets where children can change into an outward expression of their sexuality at school by being given clothing and other things that they are told will truly allow them to live as their authentic selves, where children can secretly read books at school containing sexually explicit content and images and descriptions of sexually deviant behaviors. They can join online chat groups that are meant to be hidden from their parents, where they can discuss everything they're doing behind their parents' back and get more guidance and coaching from peers and adults who are more than happy to push them further into a life that is totally devoid of morality, that has no personal boundaries whatsoever, and where their sexuality and their sexual experiences are all they talk about. So again, I ask, where's your line? At what point do you say enough is enough? Because when you get to the point that you realize that these people have gone too far and they truly have no limits about how far that they will go, then you might have to realize that you have been lied to the whole time, and that you not only wholeheartedly accepted this lie, but that you were willing to put your child on the chopping block for it.
Gender is like the inside filling of a donut. You can't tell what's on the inside just by looking at the outside. Let's take this jelly-filled donut, for example. Usually donuts that look like this are filled with raspberry jam, but it could be strawberry or rhubarb. We just don't know. The same logic applies to babies. You can't know a baby's gender until they're old enough to tell you themselves. Sure, you can make an educated guess, but why risk being wrong? This is exactly why gender reveal parties are so silly.
Children are not pastries, and children are not minotaurs, and you cannot be half one gender and half the other gender, or one gender on top and one gender on the bottom. So again, I ask, what's your line? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.